How's it going, everyone? This is the George here, and today, yes, it is true. I did see the Barbie movie, and this is my review of the Barbie movie. I never thought I was actually ever going to see this movie, but between the very good reviews, the hype of Barbenheimer, with this and Oppenheimer coming out at the same time, Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling starring in the movie, as well as even though I never played with Barbie dolls growing up in a household where I had a mom and a sister that were huge Barbie fans. The intrigue captured me, and I went and saw Barbie. And by the way, if you haven't already, check out my Oppenheimer review. I didn't do Barbenheimer last weekend. I only did Oppenheimer. This weekend, I saw Barbie, and this was directed by Greta Gerwig. And as I said, stars Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling. And Barbie and Ken go into the real world after Barbie is dealing with certain things in Barbie Land that seems quite foreign for a Barbie to have. And there are other versions of Barbie and Ken in this movie, but Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling play the main versions of Barbie and Ken. And movies based off of toys is a pretty common thing at this point. We've gotten several Transformer movies throughout the last 16 years. We've gotten quite a few G.I. movies that have been forgotten because none of them were good, nor did they do well in the box office. They were kind of forgotten. And we've gotten in a franchise from Pixar called Toy Story, which also includes Barbie and Ken in some of the movies. However, toy movies can be a hit or a miss that are not Toy Story. Some of the Transformer movies work, some of them don't. As I said, G.I. Joe, we have yet to get a good G.I. Joe movie. So, how would Barbie turn out, even though it's directed by Greta Gerwig, who is a pretty good director, who has directed it in award winning movies or award nominated movies? And honestly, this is one of the biggest surprises of any movie in the last few years. I mean, this isn't the movie for my demographic, but I was surprised at how entertaining this movie was. This is one of the funniest movies I've seen in theaters for quite some time. That was meant to be funny, but yeah, no, Barbie. I had a very good time with this one, and I know at one point Amy Schumer was attached to play Barbie before Margot Robbie got the role. And I have nothing against Amy Schumer, but her style of humor just feels very forced at times, and I don't find that hilarious. But watching Margot Robbie in this movie, Margot Robbie pulled off being Barbie. And Margot Robbie, regardless of what movie she's in, whether she's in a great movie like The Wolf of Wall Street or a not so good movie like the 2016 Suicide Squad, I always expect her to give her 100%, and she did it in this movie. But the performance that I thought was the best and the most hilarious was Ryan Gosling as Ken. And similar to Margot Robbie, this is an actor that whether he's in a fantastic movie or not a good or a not so good movie, Ryan Gosling will give his 100%, and he was entertaining as Ken. Now, again, this is a movie about empowering women, girl power. So there is that message in there, and it will be a message that for some people will come across as preachy or overdone. But in this movie, Ken's story arc is basically he wants something more with Barbie. And when he goes into the real world with Barbie, he discovers the patriarchy and discovers all this stuff about men power and masculinity, and he brings it back to Barbie Land. And that aspect of the movie was just so entertaining. And there were times where Ken did remind me of Draco Malfoy from the Harry Potter franchise or Johnny Lawrence from the Karate Kid. But yet it's also done in a unique way. And yeah, for a movie overall that is based off a popular toy that has been around for many years, it also felt unique and fresh, which is kind of hard to do in Hollywood nowadays to get fresh, unique movies. And like there are a couple of aspects that felt like you've seen in any other movie or show. For example, there's this story arc where Barbie meets this daughter and mom in the real world, and like the relationship between them, the mom and daughter, feels like we've seen many times before, and not just with like mother and daughter, but like with daughter and father, or mother and son, or father and son. But even still, the other stuff in this movie just felt very unique and fresh. Like the movie was self-aware and knew what it wanted to be. And I think for the most part it pulled it off very well. Barbie World, when we're in Barbie World, looks pretty good. The set designs, the costume designs work out very well. The musical numbers were great, especially the ones involving Ken. Um, yeah, Ryan Gosling was just very entertaining in this film. You also got Simu Liu playing one of the versions of Ken in this role. He was also very entertaining. Also, Michael Cera played Alan in this movie, and I thought his performance, while it wasn't as big as Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling's roles, I thought his role was underrated. I thought he was pretty entertaining. I've always enjoyed Michael Cera in movies such as Superbad and Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Those are two of my favorite movies. But yeah, he was very entertaining in this movie as well. I will say, Will Ferrell's in the movie and plays the CEO of Mattel. And while Will Ferrell was entertaining, he felt unnecessary. And it isn't just because Ryan Gosling is carrying the bulk of the humor and it's been pulled off very well. It just feels like some of the stuff involving his story arc, at a certain point, it just gets lost in the movie. And at a certain point, him and his Mattel team appear when stuff is happening in the third act, and you're reminded, oh wait, they're in this movie, and they were on a quest at a certain point. But because it felt like so much was happening from when they last appeared and when they next appear, you almost forget that they had a story arc in this film. It's just one of those things where if Will Ferrell wasn't in the movie, while he does have some entertaining scenes, it felt like he wasn't needed for the movie because the movie was fine with how it was going. And you already had other people carrying the humor of this movie. It's the movie also does suffer from Return of the King ending syndrome, I would say, where it feels like the movie could have ended at a certain point, but it goes on longer and it feels like it doesn't need to. I will say the third act is definitely the weakest part of the movie. Like there's some entertaining stuff in there involving the Kens without spoiling it, but it feels like at times it's dragging on longer. And the first two acts just felt stronger and were more entertaining because you have like the setup of Barbie Land, Barbie herself, the version of Barbie that we're focusing on, the stereotypical Barbie that Margot Robbie plays, and then we're establishing Ken, and that all he knows what to do is beach. He doesn't really know anything else what to do, and he wants something more with Barbie. Then we get the stuff with Ken and Barbie going into the real world and the antics that they get into. And I'll say this is not a movie for kids. There are some jokes that are not for kids. Uh, for the most part, I would say a lot of the jokes did land for me. There are some jokes that don't land, but will land with others. And yeah, there's gonna be some adult jokes. I will say the way that the jokes are executed, though, I think was smoother than some of the adult jokes in some of the Transformer movies. For example, the stuff with like the Romeo and Juliet loss from Transformers: Age of Extinction, that was just a bad joke in general. It was a joke that has not aged well, and the way it was executed does not come across as funny. It just comes across as weird, uncomfortable, inappropriate, and disgusting. Where some of the adult jokes in Barbie, the way it was executed, it felt like it was handled a lot better. Even if it wasn't funny, I think it was handled better than some of the adult jokes from the live action Transform movies, or at least some of the live action Transform movies. But overall, with Barbie, I would say like the performances for the most part were pretty entertaining. Some stuff did feel unnecessary, and it's not that it made the movie bad, but it held the movie back in a way. Barbie Land looks incredible. The stuff in the real world, which I will say, I felt more entertained at times in when Barbie and Ken are in the real world and some of the antics that they get into. I think that was when the humor really worked for me personally. But not to say like there weren't any funny moments in Barbie Land, because there are some funny moments. The message, I think the movie has a good message. Now in today's society, it's like one of those things that there's going to be big controversy with. But again, the demographic for this movie is for girls. It's for females. It's for women. And I think as long as it's landing for them, that's the important thing. But there are some moments that if you are a guy, you are going to enjoy. And I wouldn't say it's too preachy of a movie, because a lot of people are saying this is a preachy movie. No, I wouldn't say it's too preachy. But overall, I had a good time with Barbie. I enjoyed this movie a lot more than I thought I was going to. Now, obviously, because we are still dealing with the Barbenheimer hype, which movie is better? Obviously, Oppenheimer is a way better movie. It's way more for my demographic, and I thought it had a lot better performances. But I wouldn't blame people if they thought Barbie was the more enjoyable movie, because I think Barbie's more of a comedy, while Oppenheimer is a movie based off events that did happen and is taking on more serious themes. Although I would say I did enjoy Oppenheimer a lot more than I enjoy Barbie, because I am also a fan of history and I'm a fan of Christopher Nolan's work. But overall, with Barbie, I'm going to give this film a B plus. I had a very good time with this movie, and obviously, if you grew up with Barbie, I highly recommend you check it out. If you are a fan of Ryan Gosling, and even if you don't care for Barbie or hate Barbie, you're at least gonna enjoy Ryan Gosling. I had a great time with Ryan Gosling's performance as Ken. And what are your thoughts on the Barbie movie? If you saw it, did you love it? Did you hate it? And what's a movie that you saw in theaters that surprised you, that you weren't expecting to enjoy as much as you did? Let me know in the comments down below. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe already if you haven't. Please share this with someone that is a Barbie fan or wants to check out the Barbenheimer hype. If you want to see my review of Oppenheimer, as I said before, please check out that review. And I hope to see you guys real soon. Take care, everyone.